here with Robin Randall, Diana DeWitt, and Marcie to talk about the new box set of the songs written by Judithe Randall and Robin Randall, and to get everybody's perspective and memory. So welcome, everyone.
Hi,
Happy Hollyridge.
Happy Hollyridge. Absolutely. We all have such incredible memories of Hollyridge, and so much creativity and fun and memories. I guess it's funny, that triggers a question for me with you, Robin. That is the house that you grew up in and spent the majority of your life in. Is that correct?
It's not only, yeah, I totally grew up in that house all my life. And so did Judithe. She grew up in that house from the time she was about, I think she must have been like 6 or 7 years old when she moved in.
You had so much of your professional life was totally based there. I guess we should talk about when did you and Judithe realize or start having a realization that you could have a creative relationship?
I think I was about 14, and I had started playing piano when I was about 10. And I would get these song books of this, of the bands I liked, and buy these books of, I remember once playing, I was playing a Linda Ronstadt book of songs. And I remember the song I was playing. It was, Linda didn't really write, right? She did covers. People wrote for her and she did covers. So it was the dark end of the street. I was playing that song in this songbook. And I was like, I could do this. I could write a song, put a song together, make them. It dawned on me then. And then I asked Judithe, and she had a history of being a lyricist, and she was working for Dick Clark. This is like in her early 20s. And she was even put with people like Randy Newman and Quincy Jones to co-write, but nothing materialized. But she had the opportunity. Terry Clark took an interest in her, but she ultimately, that didn't really pan out. And she had worked for Gordon McClendon at his radio stations, doing sort of social commentary and interest stories. That's where she got that Isabel ghost story. When I was about 14, and I finally said to her, can you give me some of those lyrics that you wrote back then, or you have any, and I want to see if I can put some music to them.
Was that the creative process for you, that you would always compose music to Judithe's lyrics? Was that the process, or did it ever work in reverse?
It worked both ways. Sometimes, I would say more times than not, she would give me a lyric and I would put music to it, because she was so good.
Let's talk about the songs. I mean, so many of the songs that you have on this collection, were pieces that you wrote not only with other writers, but a lot of them with Judithe as well. So I guess, let's talk about some of the ones that you have memories of writing. Which songs come to mind with regards to that particular collection?
I would say the most, I'd say what really stood out, and the song that really people just still talk about is the song "The Last Time."
Yeah.
Jeff Law, who was a co-student with me at Vic Grove School of Music, came in with this melody. And what would happen with Judithe is, and Marcie and Diana know this very well, Judithe kind of go, and you too, Ritch, she would kind of ghost in the room. She would be upstairs looking through the banister of the stairs and listening to what was going on with, if I was tinkling on the piano.
Don't you just love it?
And so Jeff came in with his guitar and he was singing, I believe he came in with that melody. Right here. Right, he had this. And we were working on it, and I remember he left and Judithe was kind of hearing it, and he had a different lyric, and Jeff could also remember this a little bit as better than me, but the whole chorus came to me, and it was just It was just, it's like some spirit came into my body.
It just all came to you at once.
Yes. What did I do? And it almost had a, like, I want to say a tango feel. But it was very rangy.
Yeah.
You're telling me.
Well, that's why Nathan probably changed some of the melody when she did it.
Yeah, and I mean, again, we should bring Jeff into the conversation, but when I showed it it was all together. I didn't have to think about it. It was just, and that's the beauty of all of us. When everybody comes, gets a song, it's like a gift from your God, higher power, your inspiration, that will come out like that, and melody. And then again, I just sat there and did this. I don't know what happened. And I remember I was trying to write it down, and I was like, what is going on with this? It's like, it's not in 4/4, it's in like 5/4, 4/4. And I took it to my old piano teacher, my childhood piano teacher, because I couldn't figure out how to write it out. And he was like, it's weird. It's not normal. It's like 9/4 time, like 9 beats per bar, or 5/4, 4/4, 5/4, 4/4, 5/4, 4/4. It didn't make any sense. And it was weird. And I showed it to Jeff, and he was like, I like it. It's weird, but I like it. And Judith liked it. And we kept it. But that was a very sort of, we each did, and then Judith worked on the lyric, and the lyric, of course, she would lock herself in a room for 18 hours and wouldn't eat or sleep. And she drink 5 million cups of coffee and smoke 18 million cigarettes, and then go, I did it. I'm passing out.
Robin, I've had people write and tell me on my Facebook page for years that bridge section is orgasmic for them.
It's amazing what an extra beat will do.
I think for me, I can't speak for Jeff because he wrote the music too. Jeff Law wrote the music too. But for me, I think at that time in the mid 80s, I was very influenced by Journey.
Yeah.
And Foreigner. And Journey and Foreigner had a lot of songs that had that kind of syncopated, rhythmic, with a lot of moving chords type thing going on. And I think that's what I was kind of listening to and absorbing. Why don't I play a little bit of both of your versions? The first one would be Diana, because you recorded she was the first inception of that song.
Did we sing the same track?
Yes, we sang the same track. I was just showing some music there. So when we did the that bridge.
Have mercy.
So I remember that I was very spoiled because it's like, I guess it would be, I don't know how to compare it, but it would be like, when you watch, like, I don't know, Simone Biles doing gymnastics or Nathan Chen doing skating, or, I mean, it seems so effortless. And both of you, Diana and Marcie, I mean, you would sing like, oh, this range, oh, no problem. We could, when you were pitching the songs, someone would have to be comparable to you. And I guess I didn't really take that into consideration so much. What's interesting about this, I'll tell this whole story. I remember we had pitched the song to a lot of people and gotten either no response or maybe. Sheena Easton, it was a maybe. We wanted Heart, in that they turned it down. And and at the time we cut it, the Starship was just coming out. Okay, so Starship's record hadn't been out yet when we cut the demo of this. So I remember we went to Laura Branigan's manager. They said, well, why didn't you pitch us the Tomorrow Doesn't Matter Tonight? You had that hit and it was just coming out, I mean, at that point it had already been a hit when we finally started pitching last time. And me and Judith looked at each other and we went, we did pitch it to you and you turned it down.
Yeah. The left hand didn't know what the right hand was doing.
You turned that song down. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So, I mean, that just goes to show you sometimes they don't know what they have. I mean, we always thought this song was a strong song, but and then there was the whole Peter Cetera. So, and Diana knows very well about what happened with Peter Cetera because she almost did the duet with Peter Cetera. So Peter Cetera, Judith pitches it to Madonna. I mean, like, it's so not for Madonna, but right. That was Judith. She just was like, well, I'm pitching it to anybody and everybody. So Belinda Cooper at the Freddie DeMann office, she had enough, I guess she had enough, like thinking the big picture, that when she got the demo, she went, oh, this is not for Madonna, but maybe Peter Cetera. Now, at that time, we didn't have another version. We just had Diana. So we didn't have like a Peter Cetera type voice singing it. So we get this call from a guy one night. I answered the phone and, I'm not good on the phone. Judith was great on the phone. And this guy goes, is this Robin or Judith Randall? And I guess he thinks it's a husband and wife team. Robin, like Robin Williams, Robin. And I'm like, this is, he goes, yeah. I'm like, who is this? He goes, this is Peter Cetera. And I'm like, why is Peter Cetera? Because we don't know that she gave him the cassette. We don't know.
Oh, you don't know that he has it. Oh, okay.
We don't know. We don't know why he's calling us. He's like, well, I have a song of yours called The Last Time, and I'm interested in doing it. And I'm just like I'm just like, what? And he's like, and I'm like, hold on. And I just give the phone to Judith. I can't deal with this. I can't. So she gets on the phone. Hello, this is Judith. Well, is this song available? And she's like, I don't know. Let me check.
Please hold.
Yes. With that quiet voice, tense voice of hers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh
That's
my
great.
God.
That's funny.
So he was super cool. He was a super great guy. So, and it turned out, long story short, he put the song on hold, but ultimately he didn't record it.
He's cool. He loved that song, Rob.
Yeah, he really did. And somebody like him, he's written a lot of amazing songs, both in Chicago and on his own. And I always respected him. I always loved Chicago. That was one of another.
You could say in Chicago and LA.
Then comes Marcie in. Then came Marcie in. And then we were like, well, this, we got to try this. We got to have this other version. So I'm going to play a little of that version. And I'll play the bridge.
Happy Hollyridge!
Tonight might be our last.
And
Wow.
everyone can hear that on the anthology if they get the anthology.
Yes.
I think that the closest Diana and Marcie came to singing that together was the tour, the Gods of AOR, because you were singing. Diana was singing.
But did you make a version? Did you splice a duet together at one
Never
point?
did. No, that.
Oh,
No,
I thought you did.
I thought
no.
she did too.
Is it the identical track that both of them are singing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
it's the same.
There's been.
Yeah.
I
Same
thought Diana was doing backgrounds with me, but maybe it was on maybe that song I was thinking of a different one, but
Yeah, I think we used Diana.
Oh, you know, it was Someday.
someday. Yeah. But
It's
you know,
on Someday.
sadly,
I
the
got it confused.
actual but all my tapes were ruined in a flood in a garage of
I tried.
yeah, a friend of my uncle's. And Tomorrow Doesn't Matter Tonight survived it, and Diana and I had it transferred, and it survived the flood, but last time didn't survive it. How this album kind of came together was a very good friend of Judith's and collaborator, Robert Tepper. He transferred every DAT tape out of the kindness, like not being hired, like out of the kindness of his heart, gave his time and effort to transfer every song
Wow.
for this from a DAT tape
Wow, it's right.
Yeah.
to his Pro Tools. Hours.
Robert
Hey,
Tepper.
Robert Tepper. Robert
Hey,
Tepper.
Robert.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Robert Tepper.
And,
That way they can be edited.
yes, so he took the DAT tape. Now, again, the DAT tape was the mixed. We couldn't do another mix of that particular, of a lot of songs, because the initial master individual tracks were lost, ruined. Except for Tomorrow Doesn't Matter Tonight, we were able to do it. But but Robert took the mix of the DAT and he enhanced it.
Let me ask you, how many on the box set, how many versions of Last Time did you include?
There's Diana's, there's Marcie's, there's James Christian did a version, Steve Zell piano vocal, like done like, I don't even, and it has a different bridge. So if you listen to the anthology, Steve's version doesn't even have the bridge that we all know the song to have. There's the After Hours version. Wait, did After Hours do it too? That's a band. It's a long story about that band. Yeah, so then there's the Edge of, I think we had the Edge of the Blade. Hours, we have a lot of versions of it.
Wasn't there a Spanish version as well?
Yeah, there's a Spanish version, but not on the anthology because we don't own that track. But,
Oh, okay. All right.
but yes, there's a Spanish version done by Ignatha. Cruz Sembello wrote the lyrics to the Spanish version of Last Time.
Right. Diana, do you have any memory of recording this, or when you learned the song, or anything that you remember when you met Robin and them and did that particular track?
I remember we recorded it a long time. We sang and sang and sang. It was a
Okay.
long session. I mean, it was probably 3 hours, maybe 4. I
Okay.
don't know. It was a really long session. And see, later when Marcie became in part of the family, we would do backgrounds together. But at that point, I didn't have you there. I did them myself.
Mhm.
So there was doing the lead and making that happen, and then
Sure.
doing the background. So there was a good day of singing. So I mean 3 and 4 hours, and that's hard pumping stuff.
Sure.
That song
Yeah.
is.
Oh, yeah.
I feel both. See, I feel like in this day and age right now that a lot of singers are spoiled
How dare
because you just do it 2 or 3 times a day. And then there's the auto tune or the melodyne, and then everybody fixes their pitch. Well, back then you couldn't do that.
Right.
You had to sing perfectly. You could not, there was no way to, it was punch and in and punch in and punch in.
The technology didn't exist, so more was demanded. And I think the standard was different on singing back then. I mean, you had to be able to, do the whole thing and nail that down. And like Diana was saying, in her case, she also did the backgrounds as well. So yeah, I mean, it was a different standard. I think it's important to note that you had to go into studios to make recordings like that. Today, everybody can do that kind of thing on their own, in their home, at their leisure. It's a whole different consciousness and a whole different reality in terms of actually making recordings themselves. Marcie, what do you remember about recording that particular song?
Well, for that reason, it was exciting to be in that time period because going to all those studios was my dream, growing up in Michigan and listening to music in the 60s and 70s, just going, oh man, what it must be like to be in a real professional recording studio.
Right.
So it was exciting. It was always exciting going into different studios, especially the more well-known ones, but that didn't always happen. But in this case, it was a studio I honestly had never heard of before. But I can't say that for this song. It was just, the first time that I had gone to that studio. It was for a song other than this song, but it was working with Eddie King. It was at Eddie King's. It was in Van Nuys somewhere in an old business-like building.
Part of Van Nuys, yeah.
Yeah, like an industrial building. Like I just remember going in the back of this building. And man, I gotta tell you, that's why working with someone who was talented, quick on the fingers, for the engineering part of it, who could set you up because you didn't have auto-tune. You had to sing it over and over and over. And as a singer, it was always easier for me because I knew when I sang the wrong note or whatever I did wrong, I just couldn't control it. It's like taking a swing at the baseball and just missing it by that, the fastball by that much. You did it, but you just like, oh, I'm such a spaz and I'm swinging, So it was really cool to get somebody who could set you up real quick and go take another take. So you didn't have to wait. So you get your vocal mechanism all set, you get your breathing right, you get your sinuses so they're not gurgling or whatever. Me, I got allergies up the yin yang, so I'm always spitting and hacking. But it was really, and when it came to the bridge, I was going, Eddie, I can't do this. Don't worry, man. Just do it. Just come on. I'll punch you in. I'll punch you in, man. Come on. You can do it.
Eddie was like your biggest cheerleader. I feel like Eddie, to me, was like my George Martin.
And yes, all you need is ears.
You'd say it had a good bedside manner. He was just,
yeah.
He was amazing.
I learned so much being in those days, because I was like in between recording bands with King Cobra and Signal. I hadn't done Signal yet. So all those days and the sessions that I was able to do just gave me more and more opportunity to hone my craft, to get better at, developing my sound or trying out new things that I wanted to try out on my voice. And it was just a wonderful time. It was so exciting on Eddie King. Relatively unknown, compared to a lot of big producers and engineers, but not unlike all of us.
Right.
I love you, Eddie.
Yes,
we love you, Eddie.
Eddie's out there.
Sure. Absolutely.
I know. Good time.
Got fond memories of you, man.
Did you record all of your demos with Eddie? Was he like a part of the creative process for the songs that you and Judith did? Was a lot of that material recorded with him?
I met Eddie King. Can you see me? I look like I'm in a.
No, we can see you perfectly. Yeah.
I looks like Hollyridge back in there, the day.
Yes. With all the candles. Yeah.
Yeah, at the parties we used to have. So I went to Dick Grove School of Music, and
It's not the
we had
Bates
to do-
Motel, is it?
No, no.
Okay.
There's no, yeah, Hollyridge, I think there was some kind of haunting going on, and not in this house, not in beautiful downtown Burbank. There's no ghosts in here. So because I went to Dick Grove School of Music, our final project was linked to King Sound Studios, and that's where I recorded. We would have like lessons in, this is how a songwriter does a demo. And then after Dick Grove was over, I chose to, well, I'm going to come here. And you were right, Ritch, about the technology. There was a huge difference between being a professional songwriter and just an amateur one, because there was no home equipment. The reel-to-reel, no, it sounded like crap. So you had to put your money where your mouth was and pay the money to go to a professional studio, because there was really no, the difference was like this and this. But then Judith started branching out. She wanted to be a music publisher too. She didn't just want to be a writer. So she started to branch out. And in doing that, she started to talk to a lot of A&R people, including yourself, Ritch.
Well, I met her through my boss, Jamie, if you
Wow.
recall.
Jamie
I was
Cohen.
at the office and
Jamie
Jamie Cohen, and you and Judith, if you recall, you and Judith came in for a meeting with Jamie. You
Yeah.
had the two of you had a meeting, and I had heard the song a couple days before, and I didn't know that he was having a meeting with you. And then I was in my office, which was right next to his, late one night, and I heard the song again. And he was playing it. And when I went around the corner, I stopped because I saw he was in a meeting, and it was with the two of you. And if
I
you
remember.
recall, when you guys left the office, I followed you out into the hall and introduced myself, and that's how we met.
She started to try to meet other producers and writers. And that was a time where she started branching out from me, writing with me, to write with other people, like Stephen Crystal with Tomorrow Doesn't Matter Tonight, and Jeff Law. She started writing with Jeff Silverman and Tony Sciutto. Tony Sciutto with Famous Music, Jeff Silverman. He was with the Motown.
Motown.
Yeah, he was with, oh gosh.
Joe Bett?
Joe Bett. That's what it was. Joe
Joe
Bett.
Bett. And
Yeah.
so Judith, she was just the hub. She was the hub of all these producers, singers, writers, A&R, record company people. She just was bringing all these people to work together, and she had no ego about it. She wanted to, like, so for example, when it came to Jeff Silverman, she's like, Robin, this guy, Jeff Silverman, has this great studio. You should write with Jeff and me. Oh, okay. So that's when we wrote the Eyes of Night. It was like, oh, there's this guy coming out from the East Coast named James Christian. And Judith's like, oh, why don't you come to Hollywood? I'm going to help you get your career off the ground. So then he came and sang the demo. This girl that I didn't even know out of Norway, one of my former students, Kari Iveland, gave her her producer a cassette of a song that I wrote with James Christian and Judith that we recorded at Jeff Silverman's studio. And she gave them the cassette, and we didn't even know, but they cut the song and we didn't even know.
Wow.
And suddenly there's this song that's going to be a single in Norway. And Judith's like, hey, there's this singer named Ina, come to Hollywood. I'll help you with your career. What was the name of the company? Oh gosh, is it Polygram? Gosh, Ina, if you're watching this, I'm really sorry. That's when Ina came. So then Ina kind of joined the family, and there was Diana, and there was James, and there was Marcie, and then I met Steve Zell. I think he had something to do with Dick Grove. He might have taken some classes there, but not at the same time I did, but might have been through Troy. He came into the picture, and then I started like a cover band with Steve, and we made money by playing weddings and parties and weekends and carrying around heavy equipment. It was like it was fun, but And one thing I do want to say right now, on this recording is, somebody that we just lost that was a big part of this family was Roger LaRock.
Yeah.
And he did play on what we just heard. He played drums on the last time. He also was a person who Judith liked his songs. At the time, he was writing with someone named Melanie Fry, and she took on some of their songs, and she did get a song cut called You Can Stop the Rain. And also, speaking of Spanish, a Spanish artist covered that song. And she represented them as a publisher. And it's very sad that we lost him. I'm heartbroken that we lost him a couple weeks ago. He was such a big part of all of these recordings when we talk about them. And Roger also, you asked me, I recorded a lot of songs at different versions of Roger's studio.
Right.
I went to one Roger studio, but then he lost the whole studio in the Northridge earthquake, the whole thing. And then he moved. And then when he was in Glendale, me and my collaborator, Bill, recorded with Roger there. So some of the songs you hear on disc 8 of this anthology were recorded at Roger's studio. So he was a really big part of this whole scene. And he went to Dick Grove, and he was part of our cover band. Me and Steve's cover band. He played drums for us. So I still can't believe it.
Yeah, I can't believe it either. You know, I met Roger through you at one of your famous parties that you had up at Hollyridge that we all remember so well. That's how I remember meeting Roger. And what's ironic is that it's just kind of like one of those weird twists of fate. I had met Roger independently at one of your parties.
Yes.
And ironically, I was working at that time and remained working up until 1992 with the woman who became his wife.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I mean, it was just independently. I mean, I you know, and Denise, you know, I had worked with. She was the finance. Denise, yeah, Denise was his wife, and you know, they got together independently. And I knew Roger before I was working, and then all of a sudden she tells me, "Oh, I'm dating Roger." And I'm like, oh, I know Roger. I know him through Judith and Robin. And you know, we clicked the moment I met him. I mean, we just started talking music and artists and songs and records and you know, all kinds of stuff. I mean, we were like, you know, just you know, and I knew that he was from Quebec, the province of Quebec, because of his accent. And I knew the area because I had lived there for a summer. And it was, you know, and then I remained friends with him for, you know, a long time. I immediately reached out to Denise about it.
Is she doing all right?
She's still she says to me that, you know, she's still in shock, and, you know, she is going to plan on doing something, some kind of memorial, some kind of thing, and she'll let us know. So what about some of the other songs that you put onto the onto this box set?
We, again, another Judith find. I don't even know how Judith did it, but she always would call, even before music in movies was like a thing, like getting placement in movies and TV. She, there was a guy named Danny Goldberg. He's a manager, and he was a music supervisor on a small movie for Vestron Entertainment in 1987. And I think that there was a woman named Anita Camarada, and at the time, we read the script, and it was like these, you know, unknown actors, small budget, but we were going to do it. So Judith wrote the lyrics, and I wrote the music to the lyrics, and then we brought Claude Godet on it, and you know, and it was kind of weird because they said, well, we want like a Pointer Sisters kind of feel mixed with a sort of a Motown track. And at the time in 1987, it was like Neutron Dance, or, you know, I'm so excited, right? Kind of getting like that kind of, I had like a groove more than I had a melody. And then Claude had this bass line like going, something something like that. And,
Ain't that peculiar? That sounds
yeah,
kind of
like
like Ain't That Peculiar.
peculiar
Yeah.
mixed with this sort of.
Yeah, ain't it?
It is, right?
So
Ain't it peculiar?
Ain't
Yeah.
that
we
peculiar?
get this whole track together, and then Claude just goes over the top, and we're like, we're gonna just, and this is again, we're not like, now you record songs for placement and you are doing the master recording. Back
Right.
then, you're just doing the demo for someone else to do the record. Cost about $1,500, and that was a lot of
A
money.
lot of money in those days, yeah,
So
for
what
demo.
ended up happening is
That was just my share.
That was just your fee, exactly.
and it was about 1,500 hours. So I remember when Diana came to do this particular song, it was like an 8-hour, he was cracking the whip on her. I mean, vocally, it was just like unrelenting exhaustion. And then, of course, the movie was Dirty Dancing. We were so excited that we had the theme song to this Dirty Dancing movie. And then the unthinkable happened. And our connection, Danny Goldberg, parted ways with the production company. He was the music supervisor. He parted ways for whatever reason, parted ways, and Anita was working for him. And now we didn't have our connection in anymore. And we had, and so we're waiting and we're waiting. It's like, hurry up and wait. No response, no response. And then it was like, sorry, guys. And so the story goes, it's just, that was it. I'll play a little of this. Diana, you want to talk about that recording at all?
I don't think it was 8 hours. I didn't sing that song 8 hours.
Okay.
You guys might have been there 8 hours, but I wasn't. But Robin, didn't we use it in the pilot for Baywatch?
Yes. So then,
We did use it there.
right. So then, that's what's great about like regurgitating songs is that it wasn't used for Dirty Dancing. And then that was 87. So in 89, here's this new TV show pilot about these lifeguards, and they need a song for a scene, like a party scene on the Queen Mary's pool room.
Did we do it live? Were we
Yeah,
playing?
we were sidelining. We were playing to our own track. So it's like, okay, never make the name of your song the name of the movie, because if it doesn't get in the movie, then what the heck are you going to do with the song? I'll play a little of it here. thing, but that was Dave Cause. You know, who knew Dave Cause was going to be, he just was a
Yeah.
we're doing, that's what I'm saying. It was all such a scene where it was even the far reaching out of you're working with Jeff Cause and Dave Cause and Claude and that's the other thing I want to say about Judith is that you both, along with like, you know, Steve and Ina and James, you all were such great vocalists for a songwriter who could not possibly give their songs that life of voice. But Judith was very unselfish to share you. In other words, spread the word. Hey, everyone should use Marcie. Everyone should use Diana. Please, you know, this is they will enhance your song. They're going to make it sound the best it could possibly be. And that's how you also started working with other writers, right? Too.
Yeah.
Through
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You know,
She
it's
was-
exciting for me to hear this because I never heard a lot of this stuff, Robin.
Right.
I never heard that song before. I mean, that
ever.
is screaming. That's screaming.
Yeah.
Oh, such a great job, Diana.
Aw,
Yeah, that was
thanks.
a wonderful, you had
Beautiful.
such personality on that track. You did 160%.
Yeah, it's got a
Nailed it
great
totally.
vibe. I've never heard that song either, and it's got a great vibe.
This is why I wanted to do this, to finally give these songs life for anybody to hear them, that we put so much into these songs on a shelf, in a drawer. You know, you hear a bit of it, to snippet of it in a Baywatch episode, like a minute of it. So this is why we really wanted to do this. Now, as far as Marcie goes, I mean, I think we did a lot of songs, and furthermore, Marcie and me and Diana and me, we wrote together too. They didn't just sing for us. We wrote, Judith and Diana and me and Diana, Marcie, Judith and me wrote some songs together.
You guys were way too kind to me when it came to those songs that I ever was given credit for writing, because I don't remember writing anything.
You don't? You were there.
No, I don't. Honestly, I don't. I really don't. I don't sit.
You
I don't
made a
remember.
good cup of coffee, though.
We had the Hollywood nights of the Hollywood. We had those kind of parties.
So many parties throughout the years. I remember.
Now, one thing, Marcie, what should we play? Do you have a favorite demo that you did of ours, or do you want to play the collaboration we did, or what would you like?
You mean
Yeah,
one
which
of your
song?
songs? You know, I had really fond memories of "Slow Down the Night," and that was another Eddie King. That was one of, I think, maybe it could have been the first time I worked with Eddie. I'm not sure, but I have.
The first time you worked with Eddie, that was before last time?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
I would have to look at my book again. I wrote down a lot of things, dates of sessions I did.
So what's interesting about Slow Down the Night, Marcie and Diana both recorded a version of it, and Judith pitched it to the Starship for their follow-up album. The old phrase, it's not final till, that's not what vinyl.
Final
It's
till
not final, it's vinyl.
Final. It's not final till it's final was so true, because we had it all set that they were going to do it. And then Keith calls Judith and says at the last minute and says, Judith, we have a problem. Diane Warren just came in with a great ballad called Set the Night to Music. And we're going to go with that one. And the Starship doesn't want to use another song that has the word night in it.
Oh, God.
So do you think you could change that word?
Mm.
And so I was like, crap, that's the hook. Slow down the night. What the heck else are you going to slow down? We get Diana back in the studio to record the Slow Down Goodbye. So we changed it to Slow Down Goodbye, but it was forced. It wasn't natural. We did it. And then Keith comes back to us and goes, you know what? Sorry, but it just, we're gonna throw it back in the hopper for the next album. I always felt like Judith's lyrics, some of these AOR rock songs. that
Yeah.
Judith wrote these lyrics. They were always like a romance novel, like this torrid romantic, slow down the night, make this moment last a lifetime long, slow down this heart breaking through. And at the time when me and Mark Chatwin was also very interested in key changes and all this stuff. But see, now that I teach music theory, I realized what I did, but I didn't really know it back then, what I was doing as much as I know now. But what was interesting about that was that it was in the key of C sharp minor, which doesn't mean anything, but it was going like this. Right? And then it gets to this, and then you change key. And and now I know it's something called modal interchange. It's called the use of parallelism, parallel keys. But which is so fascinating is I didn't know, and I don't know if I don't think Mark Chapman was thinking of that either. We just heard it. But it was an interesting modulation. Like you just don't hear that many songs that do that.
Right.
So I'm like, that's, I think because I don't know how else it was kind of weird. But I like doing stuff like that. And now I'm glad I could teach things like that. So here we go. So this is, I'm going to play Marcie's Slow Down the Night.
I'm glad it was night, not height.
Yeah, the hype. Yeah, I was like,
Although I could stand to lose 2 inches.
Here we go.
Changes, try to touch your heart.
Wow.
I mean, I listen to that and I go, I mean, I'm not trying to.
Okay, those are some ad libs there, honey. Those are some ad libs.
You are the ad lib.
Wow.
You are the ad lib.
Wow.
Ad lib, amazing.
That's the
I was
funnest part,
proud
though,
of that
isn't it?
because Judith called me that night and was just so pleased with what I did at the end of that song. And I never forgot that.
Oh,
Judith
that's great.
called me
Yeah.
to compliment me on that. And I was just so pleased that she liked what I did.
How could someone not like what you did?
No,
I mean, it adds
It
so
was
much
one of
to
the
it.
first times that I've ever sang a song that hard before. And like what I talked about earlier about being able to try different things. Some of those inflections I had never done before in a studio before. So I was learning on the job, and there were pitchy moments, but it was just, it was a performance vibe.
Emotion over pitch.
It was a performance
So
vibe.
good.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
good.
And I look at Judith's lyrics and I just go, God, they're just works of art.
Crushing.
The lyrics are just.
She wrote crushing lyrics. I mean, just
Yeah.
gut wrenching. You don't know it at the time. I don't really, it's like I was hired to come in and do a job, and it's like, okay, sing this, but don't comprehend it because you're too busy trying to worry about what you're doing. And it's like, not till later on, I read these things back and I go, fuck.
Even back then, I mean, she was in a class by herself. It's funny, if you talk to a lot of publishers back then, they'll tell you, and even today, I hear this from publishers, that finding a great lyric writer is a very, very difficult thing. They don't grow on trees. And even though we have tons more writers today, the great lyric writers are very few and far between.
When I wrote the story of us, I always felt a little in her shadow because I felt like there's no way I can write as good as this person. I'm never going to, so why should I try? And also she helped me. So if I came with her to an idea, she would be so not dismissive of me. She'd be like, yeah, let's hear your part. And then I can add to that. And of course, after she died, and we really didn't think she was going to die when she died. So she died young at 65. So I felt like somebody cut off my arm. I mean, I learned to go on. I mean, obviously I didn't stop writing. It was just a new chapter in my life. But then I realized how much I really love songwriting. And I also think that by being a teacher, being a teacher helped me to be a better writer. So I don't know, somehow I felt like when you teach, you learn too.
When you were approached to doing this project and putting this together, what was your process creatively in selecting the material? Obviously, you haven't put every single song you did. So how did you select the specific things that you did put on this collection?
I really wanted to, immediately off the bat, I wanted to make it a tribute to Judith, a tribute to everything that all the people she brought together and made this community. I would say a sort of a history of me and Judith's lives and the branching out of how it kind of happened. Because I think my boyfriend in high school was obsessed with Led Zeppelin. So then I listened to that. But, and then also I loved Motown music too. I loved Stevie Wonder and I loved Smokey Robinson. But I also was very much listening to Foreigner, Led Zeppelin, Kansas, Boston.
All that trash rock.
Yeah, I'm radio fanatic. I love the one-hit wonders. Made this Hollywood, and then that's when me and Diana. Remember Diana when we went to go get the thing transferred? I think we got Thai food, Diana, and we thought the Hollywoodland sign, and we said Hollyridgeland.
It's better than Bronson and Franklin.
Everybody, I know that's where you lived, ironically, before we met. But so when me and Diana thought of this Hollywoodland, old Hollywood, that's when my grandparents came here in 1937. My grandfather came here. He started working for Bob Hope. Hollyridgeland, Hollywoodland, and then the sign, and then the house, to make this sort of, I wanted it to have like a Hotel California, sky.
Great, that's great. And the other interesting thing that you mentioned is the fact that you have a breadth of styles.
One of our collaborators in the early 90s, James Butler, said, this is a poem that my sister started that's like an Irish ballad. And then Judith heard the music, and I kind of did my sort of, I guess, my teacher thing. I started saying, well, maybe you should change this and that and this. But it's very inspirational, because I think his sister, some people think it's about, well, some people think is it God? Is it your own higher power? But Marcie, I want to play this vocal because I started crying in the studio while we're transferring it. It was so moving to me. Called Never Alone.
Nobody knows where life's road may be leading. We brave every thorn just to reach for the rose. Love's come and gone like a dream, never fleeting. But I feel you near me. I'm never alone. Grief came to calm like a midsummer storm. Shut me in walls of doubt and despair. You made me stand tall. You brought me to wonder, and like the rain, I learned to live with the thunder. I wandered lost in a long, lonely winter, waiting for someone to carry me home. Now the cold wind of hurt left me frozen and bitter. You warmed my heart, and I'm never alone. Save my life now. I prayed in vain, hope slipped through my hands as the tides wash away, it's etched in the sand. Then you came along, filled me with passion. I'll touch the flame and rose out of the ashes. Holding on tight to this flight of the spirit, like a bird in the night, trying to fly on my own. For you taught me how to embrace change, not fear it. There in the silence, I hear you say it. I hear you saying, you're never alone.
Wow, what a vocal.
That was amazing vocal. And again, Judith and Ember Butler wrote the lyrics, but this this line, I love this line that says, and like the rain, I learned to live with the thunder. I wanted to talk about Marcie's tour, the Gods
Okay.
of War tour, because nobody really knows all we went through to actually get to the tour. That whole tour for me and Diana sort of changed the course of our lives for a bit, because we ended up, because of Marcie's tour, we ended up making 2 albums, and doing our Venus and Mars offshoot. And then Judith's like, Robin, I'm putting together this tour and you're going with Marcie. And Diana, I'm like, hell no, I'm not alive. I don't do that. I'm not playing. No,
I wouldn't do it without you.
So we left Los Angeles.
I
And
was too afraid to go on my own.
although you toured before, you'd done tours.
But with bands, I mean, I'm not, this was my first time on my own, and I'm just too afraid to do it myself. I needed my friends with me. I needed you to go to hold my hand.
Well,
And we did.
You did. God bless you.
And
You
we got on
supported
that
me.
plane, and
Well, I needed you.
Rich, we got stuck in Newark, New Jersey,
Oh my God.
in the airport for 12 hours.
Oh my
We got
God.
stuck there. We had a very tight schedule ahead of us. for
13 hours
rehearsals.
on the floor in New Jersey.
Oh my God.
There's
At
a
the airport on a Sunday night, and all the food marts closed because it was Sunday in New Jersey, and none of the food court was open, so we couldn't buy any food either. It was like, oh no. It was so funny. But and you guys were invaluable to me at that tour, because Robin wrote everything. She could write charts out like it was in her sleep. She was writing everything. And because a lot of this stuff I needed to transpose into keys that I could do live, night after night. So, I mean, because most of the stuff on the record is in the stratosphere. So we made sure before we went over there, Robin and I got together and transposed everything down on her piano at home, and made sure it was in the right keys and whatnot. But Robin did all that grunt work, writing it all out, charting it all out.
Sure.
For this band that was hired it was a band called Snakes in Paradise, that they just agreed to just be our backup band.
Mm-hmm.
In Sweden.
The record company had found, and they were very talented guys. And because they were from Sweden, they probably were all paying attention in school.
What?
And so they were all very schooled musicians, and it made the rehearsals go really smoothly, because it had been up to me to try and tell these guys what key I wanted it in. I couldn't do it. I'm just a punk from the street.
For anybody who would have a word of advice, having a chord chart of a song that you want to teach to a band that's not like your band that you're hiring, or that's just going to play. I mean, that cut to the chase. To have those chord charts, it was just like boom, boom, boom.
We couldn't have been halfway as good as we were. Not even. Had you guys not been there with me.
It was great. We had
And
such,
Diana, night after night, spot on with the backgrounds, just right there. To rely on that was just invaluable to me.
This was really incredible. Thank you so much for asking me to do this.
Thank you, Richard.
Rich.
Thank you.
Rich. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Rich.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye, Marcie. Bye,
Bye,
Diana.
sweetie.
Bye,
Take
Robin.
care.